This question is a parajumble without options. 4 sentences given to you, order it. We'll read up the jumbled up sequence as it is given and then try to find an order by finding a starting sentence, finding mandatory pairs or links, taking chronology into account. But I think that towards the end of this trajectory, where I would place James and Wharton, the novel is trying to do things that were unimaginable a few decades earlier. I'm abusing Stendhal's stimuli and presenting all this in a rather schematic and linear fashion. As literature was no longer required to reflect a cohesive and unified world, the gaze also began turning inwards. More than accurately depicting objective reality, the emphasis was on conveying certain forms of experience. Alright, which one would start the sequence? Out of these 4, but I think I am abusing Stendhal's stimuli needs an antecedent. But this, to me, looks perfect, as literature was no longer required to reflect a cohesive and unified world. The gaze also began turning inwards. I am abusing, now here he is describing how literature didn't do something and was gazing inside, and then he is now saying I am presenting all this, what happened to literature, in a rather schematic and linear fashion. But I think that towards the end of this trajectory, where I would place James and Wharton, the novel is trying to, now we know he's talking about a novel. So he started by talking that as literature no longer required to reflect a cohesive and united world, the gaze in novels and in literature began to turn inwards. Then the author himself is saying, I'm abusing Stendhal's simile and I'm presenting what literature did and how it turned its gaze inward and all that in a rather schematic and linear fashion. Then he continues by talking about his views. But I think in this trajectory, in a linear schematic fashion that I am putting, the novel I would place at the end is James, the authors I would put at the end is James and Wharton. The novel is trying to do things that were unimaginable a few decades earlier. What unimaginable things does the novel do? 4. More than accurately depicting objective reality, the emphasis was on conveying certain forms of experience. So you've got 3 as the starting, 1, 4 definitely as a link. So then you just say, okay, since he's talking about first person in 1, so 2 can come before 1 and you again have 3, 2, 1, 4. Got it? Here the problem would be it's talking about a subject and the passage has been taken in the middle of that discussion. So we can at least try to find a link by getting the connections. And we got that connection between what the novel is doing. Instead of depicting objective reality, it's doing something else. Clear? And both the sentences in first person go together.